my experience with the new sound and the chakras. Okay, I know you don't like to piece apart the new presentation, and you present it as an organic whole that is greater than the individual parts. However, let me comment on the new sound and the chakras again from personal experience. Well, I may be having these experiences because I started working on the chakras long before meeting you, Duane, and I was using 2 mantras for each of the 7 chakras. That's making 14 in all, the 7 main chakras. Now, upon joining the new presentation, I realized that there was no need using so many sounds when only one could open and balance the chakras, because I had read that when chakras are blocked, it could have a destabilizing effect on the individual, and then some mantras just affect certain chakras, and some are not. Some just stay dormant and closed. So I wanted to dig further into this notion, and I then decided to take a formal course of study with some guru at that time. And when I tested the new sound, because I actually know what I was looking for, I wanted to test the new sound to see whether it would vibrate in the chakras. So I realized that the new sound was an all-round solution to unblocking the chakras and putting them in harmony with one another. And so I started doing that, and I realized that the new song was affecting all the chakras equally at the same time. The real guides have been trying to show me that I was not wrong in my conclusion, and so I have been brought gradually through the chakras until now. I can say it's just the sixth and the 7th chakras. I experienced this on 2 occasions on my forehead as I was doing the new song with a certain formation. So, in short, I realized that when you put do at the beginning and do somewhere in the middle, I made a composition. It has a profound effect. And then immediately you start doing that, there is some soothing sensation that descends on the body. Yes, and anybody who is maybe sensitive to energy can realize that there's some flow. There is some flow when you do this. When you do the new sound with this combination, you start with do, and then you somewhere in the middle of the song, you put do again. Do is actually I realized that it reactivates, it gives more energy to go ahead. So when I did this, I found my forehead actually twitching violently on 2 occasions, and then it stopped. That twitching stopped after some time. And then on the third occasion, as I was doing the new session, using do and nu and do again in the middle, I just saw a single eye, and it was blinking. It looked like the eye of someone from a deep slumber and was trying to see well. So I take this as an indication that the spiritual eye is opened and activated in line with my former endeavor. And this has been achieved by singing the new song and not even thinking about doing a chakra activation and balancing consciously. It just came like that. So I think that the real guides actually, life wants to show me that the new sound is actually working overall to bring one into full realization of anything. So I want to mention this because we don't talk about these issues. There's a lot to talk about that we don't go into the nitty-gritty of little things and all the like. But when you sing the new song, it has an impact on the body. Yes, it has an impact on the body, and the awareness will come from the awakening of the body systems, the physical and then the subtle bodies. You see, the new sound affects all this on unseen centers, and that is where we get all the awareness that is coming in. Because we are in tune. This when the chakras are blocked, we are actually living in, I can say, in a kind of hell. And when I tried this when I compared this with the hue, it was for certain that the new song is superior, because you find the way the echoes the way they are. The hue song doesn't affect all the chakras equally, and so that's why you find the corporation people, their feet are dangling. Their feet are dangling. Their feet are suspended on the air. They don't even have the grounding effect. The new song starts from the base chakra to the crown chakra, and it actually activates and balances all these chakras for a harmonious and soothing experience. So that is what I want to share. I don't know whether Duane has any comment on this.
No, that was excellent, Charles. And actually, Kelsey will make a video on that, what you're saying. It's very, very good. And yes, we just don't, it's not that I like or dislike anything. That's not the idea. I know you use those terms, but it's okay. Yeah, this is the process that we went through these so-called religious spiritual paths, or whatever it is, through lifetimes. And we've been through that, just like we've been through, grade school and high school while we're here in this lifetime. We've been through these things. And, it's like going from a car to a jet, after a while. And then beyond that, and after a while, you don't need these things. And so, yes, you're dealing with the whole now, not just the steps. And this is where Paul, he brought in the spiritual eye and etc. And just like here, yes, you use everything. What you're saying, everything is fine. Again, remember, nothing is negated. Everything is fine. You decide And that's very, very good to share that, you know, with everyone. And it's just like we're doing the Jillian juice, etc. We do these things you know, it's a maintenance here. We have to, you know, we have to maintain these bodies for our experience, just like you would your car. You wash it, you change the oil, you do whatever so that it's running okay. Check the tires, etc. And the chakras are really that, you know. In creation, it's just maintenance, is what it is of these things. And traditional religious or spiritual things, especially, have you know, they're looking at you know, these things in creation as the ultimate and the God idea and all that, which it's not. That's just the difference. And yes, I'm glad you brought up the hue, the vibrations, etc. And they're being tap lined, etc. They're being taken advantage. People that use the hue, it really becomes very dastardly, really, because the true reality life is the isness does not recognize. Okay, it does not associate itself with these things that do not have a benefit. It's just that simple. It does not back them. And so what you're experiencing is very real. And I would say that your experience where you closed your eyes and you saw this eye, the spiritual eye idea is a particular, okay? And I would say really what's taking place now is that, you know, again, we're thinking in old terms and old ideas and old experiences. That would be like you saying, oh, I see this eye, I'm back in high school, it must be my teacher's eye, or something like that. Well, actually, it's not, because life is always new now. It's showing you now. And it would be showing you the blinking that, you know, like waking up. It's your real awareness waking up. You know, many people have experiences through the chakras, through the third eye, out of the body experiences. And this is fine. Okay. And they can call it spiritual experiences if they like. That's fine, because most of them, if basically are in creation, which is fine also. Sometimes people get into the real universes. But it's the recognition that makes the difference, not the experience. And so, again, this is where words of wisdom, especially old words of wisdom, fail, because they're just words. They're just ideas. And those ideas, yes, they can have their life, their own life. They do have their own life, like anything. You know, you can pedal a bicycle and it can seem alive while you're pedaling it, or your car, but it doesn't really have a real life. So I would see that as not the spiritual eye idea, because that is of a particular. The spiritual idea is in creation, and it's mainly physical, astral, or whatever. But I would say that it's a reflection of yourself waking up to this reality and recognizing. And see, it's this recognition. And this, again, just like the corporation and whatever that we have been through and many others have, or anything that people have been through, yes, they have the procedures there, they have information, indoctrination, etc. But what they lack is the recognition. That's why so many of the membership are still where they are, because they don't recognize what is real now. The recognition is very important, because that becomes the reality. This is where, which is an isness, the is with itself. It decides, you might say, without deciding, because it's an isness. It isn't like we think. It's not like the God idea where God is happy or God is sad, or, you know, God likes you or doesn't like you. This is all silliness that we've been indoctrinated with. It's an isness, like the sun shining. So it is you. It is always you awakening to it. You see? Yes, that's your real awareness, awakening, and a little by little recognizing, because it's invisible, okay? But it will demonstrate something to you. And we're thinking in terms, again, of spiritual eye. It's not the spiritual eye. That is of a particular, just like the chakras you talk about, etc. But you see, You're not the chakras. You're none of those. You're not the body. Now it's a real awakening. It's a real wake up. It's your real awareness that supersedes the body. So, it would be like you have 5, 6 cars, whatever. These are your vehicles. They're not you. That's the difference. So, yeah, that's the real you. Yes, Charles, thank you for sharing that. It's a very good explanation. And yes, of course, the boys and the is back the new you, okay, and of a particular, and they don't recognize these other things, even though they're here for everyone. They don't recognize these things. So, again, if people were using cars to drive around all the time, and then all of a sudden someone invented the airplane to go somewhere faster and higher, well, all of a sudden, people would be using that, certain people, but not everybody. Not everybody. So most people are locked into the past, locked into ideas about life, which is not life, which is not the whole of life. So this is where you step off from that literal self, trying to figure it out, into a true and real recognition of what already is, this isness. And so this is where, many people come and go from this because they don't take the time to recognize it. It's not what you think. So again, yes, but that is valuable information, and it's all fine. Everything is always fine. Again, I don't negate anything. It's not a matter of dislike or dislike. It's not about that. It's just that you experience it yourself, and that is the new you takes care of everything. And see, you don't have to play patty cake with the bodies because, again, those chakras correspond to the bodies. And that's like the engine in each one of your cars to make sure it's running, up the speed and tune, which is fine, but it's still not you. And so an individual that meditates or whatever can say, well, all my chakras are open and I have these experiences or whatever. But most of the experiences are just in creation, and there's not a true recognition of the isness, which your real awareness supersedes. So there is a lot more to this than creation itself. And so, yes, people can levitate, they can do out-of-the-body travel, they can do remote viewing and whatever. But basically, it's a physical astral thing. And yes, they do have these so-called great and profound experiences, but they're only creation. They don't recognize the true reality. And so, again, yes, they don't objectively see, and not everybody can. It comes to the point where they can't because they're so, you might say, stuck with their personal experiences and their self-convictions, like Harry is. He's stuck with his self-convictions, so he can't get past himself. Yes, thank you, Charles.